The C65 Trident is a model we've spoken about recently in our in-depth review. However, at the same time that review was in the works, Christopher Ward introduced a new addition to the range that no doubt increases the watch's usability and wider audience appeal. With a GMT hand, Worldtimer rotating bezel and that 24-hour scale, Christopher Ward has managed to add a lot of information here in a complete package. But what is the C65 Trident GMT Worldtimer like to live with? If you're familiar with Christopher Ward, you'll be familiar with his case, as we get a width of 41mm, which increases to 42mm if you include the bezel, a height of 12mm, and a lug-to-lug of 47.1mm. A very appropriate size when glancing down at the time while on the go. The same positive words apply here that we mentioned in the C65 Trident Diver review, as this well-designed, comfortable, and classically elegant case really is a big positive for the brand. This new release really does prove how versatile it can be. Let's start with the caseback this time, and already we're met with something unexpected. A screw-down caseback finished in DLC black adds a level of sporty, modern appeal. This is something that you may not associate with this family of watches, especially based on the watches from Christopher Ward we've looked at recently. That contemporary sporty feel doesn't end there, however. As we move the watch, that rotating world-time bezel is the next feature to really jump out. The bezel itself is also finished in DLC black. This use of a darker tone throughout the whole watch really complements Christopher Ward's attention to detail and ensures that the bright yellow we see on the dial really just pops out that little bit more. Clean, legible and coherent sum up the dial on the GMT Worldtimer fairly well. The 24-hour scale is tucked away around the edge of the dial, providing a practical advantage for regular travellers and also big framing benefits to the watch. The multifaceted indices have a reduced footprint to ensure the emphasis on legibility holds true. It's a similar story with the hands, as these regularly appear on watches from Christopher Ward, and they remain a solid choice for yet another watch type. The elephant in the room here for this watch is probably the choice of yellow throughout the dial. We rarely see yellow used in watches. For example, we only have 3 standard yellow watch straps on the site, which says a lot about the use of the colour in the industry. So it's impressive to see Christopher Ward apply it on this watch. Interestingly, this new addition feels suitably modern for the C65 Trident range. However, the only aspect that has a vintage style DNA and feel to it is actually the GMT hand. Think Rolex Explorer 2 Steve McQueen, but with a less prominent tip and a splash of yellow rather than orange. The movement powering the watch when it comes to the Christopher Ward is of course Swiss, and it is the Sellita SW300. This is a movement of choice for brands looking to add a GMT to their range. The water resistance rating for the Worldtimer sits at 150 meters, which is combined with a screw-down crown for that added security. No worries or concerns about using this watch when things get a little more practical and hands-on then. The appeal of the GMT Worldtimer is in its understated approach to the Worldtimer and GMT complications. In a world where red and blue bezels, bold visual features, and an overload of information dominate the travel watch category, it's refreshing to find an example at this price point that offers all the capability and practical functions in a more subdued, under-the-radar way. The benefit of a watch that appreciates the art of subtlety, especially when it's a Worldtimer with a GMT, is that when using the watch day to day, it's still a sensible choice. You don't need to be jet-setting around the globe to enjoy everything the 65 Trident Worldtimer has to offer. I find the choice to avoid anything massively vintage in design benefits the C65 GMT Worldtimer massively. This is a watch that has increased mass appeal due to this, which I'm sure will result in Christopher Ward's watches appearing on more wrists. And coming in for just under £1,000 on this fabric strap, I don't blame them. Unfortunately, during my time with the Christopher Ward, the weather in the UK shifted from bright, warm, consistently summer-like days to cold, dark and traditionally English summer days. However, this did result in a wealth of experience with the watch, and the strong lume would glow as the days got drearier and drearier. The Christopher Ward arrived with us on their hybrid strap, which at its core is a rubber strap. However, fabric fills the whole front of it, which results in a durable and extremely practical option. When it comes time for a change-up, There is a lot we can do here with the general monochrome look of the watch, plus that pop of yellow. To kick things off, we start with a combo that came to mind instantly when the watch arrived for its review. The E-NATO in green and yellow is predominantly green, however the use of yellow with a thin stripe matches the subtlety of the yellow execution on the watch perfectly. This strap choice also brings out the practical side of the GMT Worldtimer, making for a fantastically capable choice. I'm a bit of a sucker for the Hinxhill Horween leather strap. Its soft, lightly padded leather properties ensure it's easily one of the most comfortable straps we offer. A slimmer profile gives you a look and feel of a strap that hugs your wrist extremely well. The strap edges are painted evenly to an expert level, and the colours and tones of the strap give off on the wrist are simply amazing. Here we've gone for the brown version of the strap to really make the Christopher Ward cool and casual. For this final choice, we wanted to go for something that brings out the Christopher Ward's sporty side a little bit more. In steps the 1960s Swiss style diver in black. As you can tell by the regular appearance of black details and how well the standard strap works on the watch, black is a fantastic colour here to play with. As you can tell by the regular appearance of black details and how well the standard strap works on the watch, black is a fantastic colour choice to play with here. This strap with its consistent cutouts throughout the design adds some casual, sporty style to the watch. As always with our reviews, we try to highlight aspects of watches that we would change if we could, based on our experience. So let's jump into it. The first thing is probably the use of yellow. I mentioned earlier how little we see yellow used in watches. It's quite a bold, polarising choice, which might explain why the yellow doesn't speak to me as much as a deep orange or a cool blue would. Next, the lack of unique design aspects. The GMT Worldtimer didn't really jump out on the wrist when wearing it, for either myself or other people asking what I was wearing. Of course, for many this is actually a positive thing. However, watches with that final, almost unexplainable feature, be it a unique handset or clever use of colour, really adds to the final piece of the puzzle and completes a solid package. If you're a regular jet setter, someone who has connections across the world and you like to check the time in other countries quickly, or you simply just enjoy the aesthetic of the 65 Trident GMT Worldtimer, there's no doubt that the quality is there with this watch. Christopher Ward's biggest selling point is their value for money and strength in using impressive materials to offer compelling, different watches for all. And the C65 Trident is no different. We'd like to take this moment to thank Christopher Ward for sending the C65 GMT Worldtimer in for review. To find out more about this watch, we'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.